Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I have so many astrology books and I have read most of them, and what I want to do for you guys today is tell you guys which books I've read, what they're all about, and maybe you guys can check them out for yourselves so that you guys can also learn more about astrology. I've noticed there are so many astrology books out there, but finding a really good book that gives you really good meaningful interpretations, as well as books that actually cover the topics and the subjects that you're interested in, are quite rare to find. So I have a very nice collection of basic beginner astrology books, your more advanced professional astrology books, your Sinistry, Compatibility astrology books. As you know, there's so many different kinds. Okay, so let's get started. The first book that I would suggest if you want to get into astrology is this book. This book is called Mind the Gap. This book is by Graham Codrington and Sue Grant Marshall. So this book's actually not about astrology. This book is about the different generations. So I'm sure you guys know about Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, boomers, all of that. So this book basically just goes into detail about the different generations and the behaviors of the different generations. I do find this to be quite helpful though, because understanding the generation a native comes from has a very strong impact on their behavior and their mental state. The generations also link in with the movements of the outer planets. So just learning what the generations are about, how they are, how they think, how they behave is very beneficial to know when it comes to practicing astrology. The next book I have is called Karmic Astrology by Martin Schulman. This book basically covers every single planet in retrograde motion in a birth chart. So it basically covers the planets through every single sign, as well as the planets in every single house if that planet is in retrograde. So retrograde planets in a natal chart have a completely different meaning and a completely different interpretation as if the planet was in direct motion in a natal chart. So I just find that this book is incredibly helpful in deciphering and finding interpretations for the placements of the retrograde planets in a natal chart. The next book is called Astrology for the Millions, and this book is by Grant Levi, or Grant Levi. I'm not exactly sure how you say that. So basically what this book covers is transits. This is an incredibly good book to look at if you want to understand your transits. So with transit astrology, you look at the current movements of the planets, and then you look at where they are positioned in relation to the planets in your natal chart, and if there are specific aspects between these planets, then it can have quite a substantial influence on you. This book is very helpful for understanding these transits. The next book is called The Astrologer's Handbook. Now, this book is by Francis Sakoyan and Louis S. Aker. I hope I'm saying that right. Basically, this book is incredible because this book covers every single aspect that is out there. So for example, South Node conjunct the Descendant. It has like a write-up of that, which is like a very rare aspect. Mercury in Taurus, Mercury in Gemini, Mercury through the houses. You guys know what I'm talking about. So basically, this book is incredible to have if you just want to reference aspects and figure out what aspects mean. So if you're reading charts for people, this is a must-have. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you guys isn't necessarily a book. This is actually a astrology-based oracle card set. So basically, what this is it's like tarot cards or like oracle cards, but it's all based on astrology. So the cards consist of the signs, the houses, the planets, and there's a specific way you read these cards. So what these cards do is it ends up giving you a very insightful message, like what oracle cards do, but it uses astrology to get this message through to you, if that makes sense. So these are pretty cool, and I'll probably be doing a live stream with this soon. Okay, so the next book I have is Linda Goodman's Sun Signs. Now, I must say this is a must-have for any person who's wanting to get into astrology, any professional astrologer who needs to learn more about astrology. This is where I learned about astrology, through Linda Goodman. She was basically what I would say my astrology teacher. I basically read all her books from start to the end, and she was the one who mainly inspired me to become an astrologer. Her books are incredible. Her books are basically like poems. So she basically takes the signs and she explains the sign in a very poetic storytelling way, which makes it such a nice, fun read. And she also just has such a unique, fresh perception of the signs. Like I said, if it wasn't for Linda Goodman in this book, I most likely won't have the knowledge on astrology that I have now. Okay, so the next book is also a Linda Goodman book. This is her poetry book, and it's called Venus Trines at Midnight. Now, this book is incredibly old. I don't actually know how old it is. Let me have a looky. 1973. Yeah, this one was printed in 1973, so this book's even older than me. But anyway, it's quite ancient. Like, it doesn't even have a back cover. It's being held together by sellotape and everything. But this is a very, very special book to me because this book is basically poems of the signs, and she covers, you know, every single sign, and her poems are remarkable. They really, really are. So what I would suggest is you guys check out this Venus Trines at Midnight book by Linda Goodman. Check out her poems. I'm pretty sure the poems she's written about your sign will most likely blow your mind. Okay, then the next book is called The New Astrology by Suzanne White. Now, this is a very, very cool book because what this book does is it basically mashes together Chinese astrology and Western astrology. So, for example, it takes your Western sign, so I'm a Virgo, and then it takes your Chinese sign, which is based on your birth year. So in my case, I'm a pig. So in this book, it has like a write-up for each combination of those two, of the Western sign and the Chinese sign. So like I said, I'm a Virgo pig, so I would go read the Virgo pig interpretation in this book. These interpretations are incredibly spot on. They're incredibly accurate, and it's just an all-round amazing book to have, to look into people's personalities and to just understand more about them. And this is just an all-round amazing, amazing book to have. So the next book I have is the one called Your Personal Horoscope by Joseph Polanski. Now, this is the 2020 book. So what I aim to do is each year I try and buy a horoscope transit-based book for that year. This is obviously the 2021, which is quite decent. It doesn't go into that much detail in terms of the transits, but it is a very nice basic indicator of what is going to happen each month. So for example, it gives you like a little breakdown of the movements of the moon. It tells you when it's going to be new moon, full moon. If there's any major events happening, it will tell you. So this is just really, really nice to have if you just want to look at, you know, the ongoing transits throughout the year, and you don't have a lot of time, you know, to go and research and calculate the transits in astrology software. This is awesome to have because it just gives you like a basic summary of what you can expect. Okay, then the next book is called Sinistry, and this book is by Penny Thornton. Now, this book is basically mainly about Sinistry Astrology and the aspects between two separate charts. So most of you guys probably know about compatibility and all of that. Sinistry astrology is basically when you take two different people's charts and you mash them together and you look at the relationship between the planets of these two people's charts. Finding really good interpretations for these synastry aspects can be quite trying, it can be quite challenging. However, I do find this specific book is quite helpful when it comes to just interpreting and understanding synastry aspects between two charts. The next one is another Linda Goodman one. This one is Linda Goodman's Love Signs. Now, this is also a must-have. Like I say, all of Linda Goodman's books are must-haves if you want to get into astrology. But this book is the most beautiful, most profound, most incredible astrology compatibility book that I have ever found. So this book basically just covers the compatibility between sun signs. So for example, if you're a Pisces, I'm a Virgo, it will cover the compatibility between Pisces and Virgo. It doesn't go too deep and into too much detail, such as like with the Sinistry book that goes into details with the aspects and all of that. This one's just about the sun sign. However, these interpretations are phenomenal. This book is incredible. It's like when you read the relationship between the signs, it's literally like you're reading your relationship with that person. It is mind-blowingly accurate. So I would definitely recommend you guys try Linda Goodman's Love Signs. It really is an incredible book. Okay, the next up, I have this little illustrated encyclopedia of astrology. It's quite cool. It's like a very small encyclopedia. It's not a very big one. But it has a lot of imagery, which I find really cool. Like, I love books with imagery in them. Oh my goodness, Christmas card. So this is basically like a basic illustrated encyclopedia. As you can see, like, there's all kinds of pictures that goes along with the writing, and it's just really awesome. Like, it makes learning astrology quite fun. Like, if you're the kind of person who can't just pick up a book with words and get through it, like, you kind of need a little bit of, you know, entertainment. You need something that's a little bit more, how do I say, attention grabbing. This is definitely for you. So like I said, it is more basic. It's not as comprehensive, but it's a very fun, easy read if you want to get to know astrology. And it's a very nice way to get to know all the terminology of astrology in, like I said, a fun, easy way. So the next book is also a Linda Goodman book, and I actually have two of this book because it's literally my all-time favorite. Let me show you guys what it looks like. So this is Linda Goodman's Relationship Signs, and the reason I got two copies of this book is because the one copy I have is a little bit old. If you open it up, you can see the pages are starting to come apart and stuff. And that just broke my heart. Like, look here, the entire binding of the book is coming apart. And that just like totally broke my heart because this is like I said, my all-time favorite book. So I went and I bought another one. So what Linda Goodman's Relationship Signs is also Sinistry Astrology. Now, I showed you guys this one, the Sinistry Astrology book. This is just like a basic Sinistry book, like if you want basic Sinistry interpretations and that kind of thing. This over here is the real McCoy. This over here is what you guys want. This is what you guys need if you want to look into Sinistry Astrology. Her interpretations are out of this world. It is literally mind-bending. So like I said earlier, Sinistry Astrology is when you take the charts of two different individuals, you mash it together, and you look at the relationship between the aspects. This book will likely give you the most accurate and the most detailed Sinistry interpretations that you can find. And like I said, because it was written by Linda Goodman, who is my all-time favorite astrology author, there's just nothing that really compares to this, in my opinion. Okay, so the next book I have is also an encyclopedia. This one is called The Parker's Encyclopedia of Astrology. So this one is done by Derek and Julia Parker. So this is also like an encyclopedia, like the other one I showed you guys, but this one does not have any images in, so it's basically just like a text, you know, encyclopedia. But this one's quite cool because it is quite comprehensive. So it has quite a bit of information in it. It basically covers like literally most of the astrology terminology and topics that is out there or that you can think of. And it also has very nice interpretations and very nice descriptions. So I would definitely say this is a must-have if you are getting to know astrology and you're getting to know the basics and the terminology and that kind of thing. This is a really cool one to have. even for professional astrologers who maybe might come across, a word or some kind of method or whatever the case may be that they're not aware of. This book is amazing because you can refer to it and will give you all the information that you need. The next book I have is basically like a massive textbook. This one is so thick. I think this book has like, how many hundred pages? Like 870 pages. Like, it is huge. So much information in it. This one is called Synthesis and Counseling in Astrology, the Professional Manual by Noel Till. Now, the thing is, this book is great, but this book is very, very complicated. It's very complex. It's very long, it's very detailed. This book I would recommend for professional astrologers. This is for your astrologers that already know all the basics. This is for your astrologers who really, really want to look into the very complex things in the charts and understand your more extremely complicated concepts in astrology. This is not really something I would recommend for a beginner astrologer. I would definitely recommend this to somebody who's been practicing astrology for a while. But it gives you incredibly nice comprehensive information about astrology, natal charts. This actual book has so many case studies in it as well, where it takes you through each and every chart. It explains to you what the chart's all about, how you read it, how you interpret it. And by seeing these case studies and how these astrologers study these charts, it really helps you to have a better understanding on how to read charts yourself. So like I said, if you're a professional astrologer, this is definitely a must-have. The next book is called Health Signs by Claire Putilengro. I hope I'm saying that right. So basically this is health astrology and medical astrology. So this basically goes through all the sun signs and moon signs, and it gives you a very nice comprehensive breakdown of what health troubles you might have, or just what you can expect through your physical constitution via astrology. So I don't know if you guys know about medical astrology. It's like a whole nother branch of astrology, but you're able to figure out a lot of things about your body and just your own like system and that kind of thing through astrology. And this book is very helpful for that. Understanding like what diseases or issues your sign can be prone to is incredibly helpful because it can actually help you prevent these things happening in the future through having awareness of it. So this book is incredible if you want to look into medical and health astrology, and it teaches you a lot about how your sign influences your physical constitution and your vitality. This book is quite cool. I thought I'd just show it to you guys. It's not really something I'd recommend to get, but this book is one of my oldest astrology books I've ever had. So this is what the cover looks like. If you open it up, you can see it's like your typical old school kind of book. And then if you actually look at like the pages and everything, it's also got illustrations. It goes through like all the signs. So for example, it starts at Aries. It explains it all to you. It's very, very nice. Got nice images and all of that. This is a really cool book because, like I said, this was one of the books I got. This was one of the first astrology books I got, and this book helped me a lot to just understand the basics of astrology. And the reason this book was incredibly helpful to me is because it's not overly complex. It keeps it quite basic, it keeps it quite straightforward, and it makes it easy to learn. Like I said earlier with the encyclopedia, this one also has images, so it makes it a little bit more engaging and a little bit more fun. The only thing is, this one is not an encyclopedia like the other ones. This is actually a book that covers the different facets of astrology, such as the houses, the signs. It also goes like into the history of astrology, where astrology originated. It talks about things like where horoscopes originated. Like, it's a really, really cool book. I don't know if you can still get it because it's so old. But yeah, I thought I'd just show it to you guys. So this book is called Understanding Astrology, the Influence of the Stars on You and Others. So this book was published in 1973, so I'm not sure if you can still get it, but I'm pretty sure you can get other books, like more modern books out there that are quite similar to this one if you just want to get started with astrology and get to know astrology. Books like this are really helpful for that. Okay, so next up I have a book called Sex Signs. This book is by Judith Bennett, and this book basically covers and explores the sexuality of the signs. So obviously each and every zodiac sign has their own love nature, their own lifestyle, and their own sexual nature. And this book is very, very comprehensive and helpful in explaining the sexual nature of the signs. This book is quite special. I thought I'd just show this to you guys. It's not a book I recommend you get because it's not really gonna help you much if you're an astrologer. But this book is so ancient. This is like very, very special to me. Like the pages are all coming apart and they're all like torn and stuff, so yeah. But this book was printed in 1892. Saying that again, 1892. Now this book is called Half Hours with the Stars, and it's by R.A. Proctor B.A. Fraz. I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, there it is, so that you guys can have a look at it yourself if I said it wrong. Anyway, what this book basically does is it just covers like constellations. It covers the stars, the different constellations. It tells you about the constellations, what they're all about, and all of that. It even has like some illustrations in it of the stars and the zodiac and all of that. This is really a special book to me, like I said, because this is like the oldest book I have. I mean, this book is like 130 years old. And it's pretty much so rare, I don't think you can actually get it anymore. And it's just like one of those books that is just like such a special rare find. Okay, cool. So now I just have two collections I want to show you guys. So I have these books, which is The Secret Language of Destiny and The Secret Language of Relationships. Now, these are huge books, as you guys can see. They're so thick. What The Secret Language of Destiny covers is it literally takes your birth date. So if you're born on a specific day, let's say the 1st of July, you go to the 1st of July and you read your interpretations for that day. This book is really cool because this book is based off of the decans. So I don't know if you guys know about the decans in astrology. So for each sign, you basically get 3 different versions of that sign. So let's say I'm a Virgo. You actually get 3 different kinds of Virgos. You don't just get one kind of Virgo. And what this book does is it basically gives you the interpretations based on the decans. So it will say to you, cool, you're a Virgo born on this day, which makes you a type 2 Virgo or whatever the case may be. And that means that this is your destiny and you're so and so. So that's how this book works. It basically gives you interpretations based on the actual decans of the signs. And I do find this very, very accurate, very detailed, and very, very helpful, especially when it comes to just understanding a person's personality and just understanding like their destiny and why they're actually here. As you can see, the book is called The Secret Language of Destiny. So it does go a lot into detail regarding your life purpose and what you're actually supposed to be doing while you're here. The next book is obviously The Secret Language of Relationships. Now, this is also made by the same people who makes The Secret Language of Destiny, but this is like Compatibility. So what they do is they take the 2 different signs and they'll take like the 2 separate decans of those signs. So it's not just cool Virgo and Pisces. It's like cool type 3 Pisces and type 1 Virgo are like this. So it's a very, very precise, detailed, and specific interpretation when it comes to compatibility astrology. And it's much better than your average, you know, oh, you're a Cancer and you're a Sagittarius, you guys are going to struggle to get along. It actually gives you a very comprehensive breakdown. It also gives you advice, like how you guys can make the relationship work, what are going to be your main issues in the relationship, what is the destiny of relationship, what is the purpose of the relationship. This is a great thing to look at if you want to look into why specific relationships are the way they are, why specific people behave towards each other in a specific way. Even if you're not in a relationship, if you're like in a friendship or you have an acquaintance, this can also be very helpful to just know how you and that person will understand each other and relate to each other and that kind of thing. Okay, and then last but not least, I have an entire cyclopedia by Learn and Understand Astrology. Now, these are really, really cool. I think about 10 years ago, there was a series of magazines you could buy. I think there was something like 100 different copies of these magazines you could buy. And every time you'd buy, you know, a new one, you'd add to the collections. So this is basically like a collection of astrology magazines put into like an encyclopedia format, which is really, really cool. I honestly can't say that I found a better source, a more accurate source, and a more comprehensive source of information on astrology and divination and esoteric topics as what I have found through Learn and Understand Astrology. What's cool about Learn and Understand Astrology is, like you can see, it's a freaking like binder, like file thing. It's huge. Like, look at all this information in here, and there's 5 of them. Like, here's one, here's one, here's another one, here's another one, and here's another one. So there's literally 5 massive encyclopedias that have so much information on everything you can think of in astrology. These encyclopedias are literally my life. Like, if I didn't have these encyclopedias, I doubt I would have become an astrologer. So before I end up today, I actually want to tell you guys just the story of how I got these encyclopedias. It's a very crazy story. So when I was about 15, 16 years old, I had a very strong passion for astrology. Like, I basically found my passion for astrology when I was about 10 years old. I was basically a kid. But then I went to a bookstore, and this specific bookstore didn't have a big variety because I come from a very small town. There just wasn't much to choose from. So I went to their esoteric shelf and I saw, okay, cool. They've got like 3 astrology books on their esoteric shelf, which is basically like nothing. This was actually a second-hand bookstore, I do need to mention that. So these were all used books. And I then ended up choosing all 3 the astrology books that they had on their shelves, which was the only 3 astrology books they had. Because like I said, it's a small town, not a lot of people read astrology books, so chances of you finding a lot of astrology books there are very slim. Anyway, so I went to the front to pay for my 3 astrology books, and this guy says to me, "Oh my goodness, I've been waiting for you." And then I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Then he said to me, no, he's actually been waiting for somebody to come into his bookstore and buy astrology books because he has a present for them. And then I was like, what? Like, what's going on right now? Then he just said, no, come to the back. I've got something for you. And then I was like, what? Like, should I go to the back of this bookstore with this guy? This is weird. This is dodgy. Like, in the moment, I was like, what the hell's going on? And then when I went to the back, he had these 2 massive boxes filled with this Learn and Understand Astrology Encyclopedia. It had the 5 files, the binders, and then it also had the separate boxes with tarot cards. It has runes, it has an I Ching board. So basically, I was in this bookstore and he said to me, oh no, he's been waiting for somebody to buy astrology books so that he could give them this entire astrology encyclopedia set for free. And then I was like, has there seriously not been anybody before me who came in to buy astrology books. And then he told me, no, he's actually had this set in his store for like a month and nobody came and bought astrology books. I was the only one. So I just kind of feel like this is not a coincidence. Like a side inside of me kind of feels like this encyclopedia was meant for me. Like this encyclopedia was meant to teach me. It was meant to help me and further me. Like I literally feel like the universe gave me this encyclopedia so that I could become an astrologer. Like it literally just happened, which is quite amazing. I think if I had to actually buy the encyclopedia and spend all the money on it, it would be quite the amount. I'm not exactly sure how much it would cost, but like I said, I got it for free. It was basically given to me, which I'm very, very happy and very grateful to the universe for. Okay guys, so this is just my video on my book collection. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see some more astrology content, then subscribe to my channel. I've added the links to my social media in the description to this video, as well as my Patreon if you'd like to become a patron of mine. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.